Good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Shut my door. Welcome to NDI Presents again. This is our Friday offering brown bag. This one is based on the Confluence template we have created. And let me bring up the presentation here. Our Friday offering brown bag. Hate it when that happens. All right. So let me bring up the template. Apologize for my lack of preparedness. It's been a really busy day. I do have the comments area open, so if you'd like, you can ask me a question, and I will be able to answer them right away. All right, so today's brown bag, the NDI Space project template. Let's see. All right. I know this is terrible presentation practice here. And we're going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So, working with the NDI Space template. As you may or may not have known, we've actually gone through and created a complete project space in Confluence that we can use to create a new project, Confluence space. It's a confusing way to put this, but so what we've done is we've templatized the project space. Project space is really it's everybody's ability to have the same look and feel in their documentation area of Confluence for every single project. So what we're going to talk about today is creating the space, why we did it, some page to-dos, what that means, what the project to-dos are, how the attachments and the macros work, that kind of stuff. Let's see, we're getting pinged already. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the purpose of this, again, is to standardize a Confluence space for repeatability and consistency. All right, we want to be able to have all the same section numbers and all the same content for every project in order to have a repeatable infrastructure, repeatable project documents, repeatable artifacts, all of that. So obviously templatizing is going to have quite a few benefits, cost efficiency, content consistency, which would give us repeatable processes, time savings, people being able to find the information faster because it's all in the same location every single time. For example, .06, section .06 is the testing section. I know that because I'm the QA tester, so that's where I spend most of my time. It's going to allow us to have more complete documentation, which gives us a higher quality of documentation. And of course, it gives us CMMI compliance, which is a huge thing right now. The space creation is fairly simple. It is an administrative function. So only Confluence administrators can accomplish that. So when you need a space created, you contact us through the NDI Jira service desk, and you put the request in, and within a few minutes you have a space to use. There isn't an automatic way to update a current project space with the new template, unfortunately. So we cannot, it's not like a PowerPoint presentation template, which resides in the back of the content. So I can't apply a space template to your existing project space. You have to start from scratch, migrate the data manually if you want to do that. Otherwise, what we've been telling people is every time you get a new project, we start the new project with the new space. The other thing about that is it does apply a better artifact understanding to the project itself. So, for example, if we built IdeaHub using Project Space version 1 and DRS using Project Space version 12, and ABC project coming down the pike using Project Space version 15, if we were to apply those templates and they were able to upgrade on the fly, it might invalidate or convolute the older Project Space documentation, because those are actually have been archived, or they're actually project artifacts now, the entire space. So the space is actually, it's a duplicate. When I build you a new project space, it is a duplicate of the NDI project space template, which is a valid space in Confluence. So you can go look at it. Everybody should have access to read-only access to see it. So there's good and bad with that. The good is, again, that it locks the artifact of the space itself. At the end of the project, it locks it into place. Changes that you make in the future on other projects won't affect it. It doesn't go, again, it doesn't apply itself. But another nice thing, though, one of the good things is that as we find new changes that we need to the current spaces, and this has happened quite a bit with several of the projects we're working on now, we want to add something, or we find a new requirement and we pop that into a current space and we say, hey, this is something that's going to be beneficial to all future projects. So then we go to the new space, the project space template, and we add that same change there. Of course, again, that's a manual process, but we add that same change there. That allows that change then to modify any new project. So the new projects will all come out with that same change. All right, so scrolling down the list here. Okay, actually, before I get to that, I want to talk a little bit about the administration of the project itself. I wish I had a slide for it. But so what happens is, when we create the project, when we create the JIRA component of the project, which is the ticketing component, we create a key. That key itself is the unique identifier for that project. We take that key and we migrate that key over into Confluence, and we create the space based on that key. So your keys are the same. At that point, the rights are assigned by the key group. So the key groups are clients, dev, PM, and read-only. If you have any clients from any of NDI's client base, DHS or FAA or whomever, those clients would be plopped into the key group clients, and then developers go into the key group devs, project managers go into key group PM, and then anyone else that you want read-only access, for example, a CMMI auditor would go into key group read-only. You could put key group read-only, you can put clients into key group read-only if they only need read-only access. Otherwise, administrators and Confluence admins are the only other ones that get access to all spaces. So the key is a unique identifier. It's really all it is. It's a pretty simple component. Oh, look, I do have a slide for it. Yay. So here's your groups. Key group in this case would be TO20. It stands for task order 20. It's just a random group that I picked off of the existing slide system. Off the existing spaces. And right here, you can see these are the groups, or the rights that each group gets. The clients can add comments and add attachments. So you can have a conversation with the client and they can say, oh, I'd rather you did this, and they bring something down and modify it and then reattach it to whatever it was. Developers obviously have nearly full access. Project managers have full access. The only thing they can't do is admin a space. Read-only can only read. And then administrators and Confluence admins. All right. Some general items to note about the project, the NDI project space template. The page numbering is very specific and shouldn't be changed. That's how one of the components we're trying to standardize. Pages that require error correction should be corrected in your project and then notified me so that I can make that same project, that same correction in the project space. Any pages that might not be needed at the time that you start your project, you might need them later. So you can hide them. You don't have to delete them. You can actually just hide them so that the administrator of the site's the only one who could see them. You'll use page restrictions for that. And if you remember the chart previously, both PMs and devs can add page restrictions. So that gives a developer the ability to say, oh, we don't need this page right now, but we will need it later. One of the other things is if you know there's a page in there that you're absolutely not going to ever use, you're building a widget that's mobile only, the project is mobile only, it will never go anywhere else but mobile. You don't need a browser interface requirements page, so you delete that page. That's fine. What you don't want to do, however, is reuse that page number. Page numbers, like a retired football jersey, should never be reused. Some spaces are restricted by general groups rather than by specific groups. So for example, the DOP space, it's an NDI employees only space. The Jira knowledge base is an all Jira users base. So anybody in Jira can use that one. Those are just two other spaces. The reason I threw that in there is because we can make those same restrictions, the same group in this area here. Those can be added to your project if there is a specific requirement for it. All right, so in the project itself, I've tried to make things easier, and I know it's a hard thing to get across, but I'm showing them to you in individual pieces, and then we're going to go back and look at the entire space in a second, so you can get an idea of how all these components work. So the first component that I built into the project space template is the project to-dos list. So the project to-do list gives you a roll-up of all to-dos that are built into the project template. So if you look at the project charter and documentation, I don't know why it's listed there 5 times, but embed or attach a stakeholder plan. Oh, this is why. Embed or attach a stakeholder matrix. So each one of these is a to-do item on this page that needs to be completed. And as you can see, there's 7 pages of it, or there might be more now at this point. It's a way for you to make sure that you've touched every single page in the space is what this does. This list only appears on the home page, and when you're finished with it, you delete this list. Okay, that's part of the instructions. Each of these items is brought up from a specific page. And, there it is, page to-dos. Each of those items is brought up from a specific page, and on each page, you have the page to-dos. So at the top of every page, these page to-dos just show up just like this, and they tell you exactly what to do on this page to customize this page for your needs, for your project's needs. The last to-do on every single one of these is delete this box. So that's shows you the kind of content that's in here. It's only for the purposes of creating your project space and customizing it for your project. All right, and then the project to-dos is all of these page to-dos rolled up into one list. Every page, not every page, most pages have attachments. Some of them have, there's different meeting note elements. There could be example matrices. an example RACI matrix or a project plan or a template of some kind. They're all over the place. So risk registers. So you'll want to be conscious of the attachments to the pages. If you go into the three-dot menu, this is where you'll find all of the attachments that are listed, but they should be linked properly within your page. So on the risk register page, you'll see that there's a risk register attachment. All right, why is my next page not working the way it's supposed to? All right, we've already pre-programmed in tons and tons of macros. So meeting minutes macros, for example, the child display macro shows a list of all child pages under this current page, whatever page you're looking at. So if there's a child page to it, it'll list it there. We use that a lot for the meeting notes. You label the page according to its date and you put it under this meeting notes page and it automatically shows up. The create from template macro is another one. You click here and it automatically creates a meeting note or a minutes page or whatever the template is under the current page with the appropriate tags on it and with the appropriate template built into it, so that all of our meeting notes, our meeting minutes all come out looking exactly the same. So some of the other ones, I love these ones, the highlight macros. These are some of my favorites. And there's another one. There's an info one with an I instead of a question mark that for some reason didn't get up here. But so note, tip, warning. These are just, they highlight content on the page, and I'll give you examples of how they work when we get over there. The Jira issues filter macro. This brings issues into your Confluence from Jira based on a certain filter. So you build the filter in Jira and then you show the filter in whatever format you choose. You can add or remove columns. You can put maximum row list. You can have as few as one issue there and it'll be a bigger, when there's only one, it shows it a little bit bigger and shows it like a single element. It can do count of issues. It can do, you can have links in here to create a new issue from it. All kinds of handy tools in there. My slide controls are not working correctly. Okay, several of the pages that we've gone through, I have mandated no comments, and that's just another macro. So if you decide for whatever reason on that page you want comments, you can actually just remove the no comments macro. The Office macros, they display Excel, Word, and PowerPoint content, and they can display it as a link, or they can display it as a thumbnail, or as an editable element. You can also click they always throw the edit button up at the top to click and download the file to be able to download and edit the file itself. One cool thing that I've gotten very excited about and use quite regularly is attachments and embedded documents. So when you apply a document in an Office macro, for example, or you just upload it as an attachment and you show the thumbnail or you show just the link, when you want to update that document, because you keep the doc file or the Excel file local, you make your changes and you want to re-upload it and you want it to redisplay the new content, you don't have to detach this one and reattach the new one. You don't have to go in and modify the macro that shows the Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to go in and delete the old one. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You go straight to the attachments page right here. And at the bottom of that page is an upload file link. And you click that, you throw your updated file right on there, and it automatically updates every place that it's called. So as soon as you reload this page that has the Excel macro, your new Excel content, is dynamically brought in. Very cool. And it keeps versioning. So when you upload a new document, the previous one becomes version 1 and the new one becomes version 2. And you upload a new one, it becomes version 3, and the previous becomes version 2, and the previous becomes version 1, and so on and so on. And it tracks all of that for you. So a lot of the CMMI issues are taken care of based on versioning, because all versioning is handled within Confluence, not only for the Confluence content, but the attachments as well. All right, the table of contents macro does exactly what it says. It brings up table of contents. So you'll want to be very particular in how you create your space, how you edit your content within the space. So you want to watch your H1s, your heading ones, your H2s, your H3s. It goes all the way down to H6, because based on each of those is how this macro will lay out. It is an automatically generated name anchor pair, which is cool because once it throws this up here, you simply click on it and it jumps to that section in the page, provided the section is using an H tag. All right, profile picture macro, you've all seen this. It puts your little picture up there. When you click on it, it gives you the little a larger one, and then you can go to that individual's network status update or profile page. You can do it as a picture only or as a profile block. So this is picture only, this is profile block. What I tend to use is the picture only and then an @mention at the side, which gives you a tighter list item, but you still get the picture. So the @mention gives you the name and a clickable link to that person's network page. Task report memo macro is one of my favorites of all times. This is one fantastic little tool. So in my personal Confluence space, and you can all have a personal Confluence space, anytime someone creates a to-do, which is called a task in Confluence, and they use this set here, so you have an @mention in the task element, it is automatically assigned to you. And when you go to your personal task space, your personal task list comes up with all of your to-dos on it from every single project that's covered inside of Confluence. Very handy. I'll show you how that works. All right, so before we get to the questions and answers, we are going to switch the view here. And we're going to break open. Do I not have my Firefox running? We're going to break open screen 1 and minimize that guy. All right, so this is the NDI training and brown bags Confluence space. If you haven't seen this yet, shame on you. But you can see that as we're going through this current test, I can check this off right now. Actually, I'm going to wait to check that off 1 second. So you can see that as we're going through this current test, working with the new NDI space template, I've got, this is templatized, right? So when I go to create, it creates a brand new template for me, automatically throws in the YouTube link, and you can see that it's updating dynamically. I've got the PowerPoint presentation you just saw, and here is all of my notes that we're using, including, here's one of the highlight macros, okay? And don't forget, if you haven't done this yet, every time you watch one of these, come into the brown bag section, come over here to attendees and check your name off. And Greg is watching currently, so I'm going to go ahead and check him off for him. You're welcome, Greg. All right, so anybody else that's watching, go in there and pop that check mark off, and make sure you do that for all of the ones that you've seen. Also, if you've done any of the other training or have witnessed any of the product demos, they should all have the same attendees list. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to my personal space. Actually, we're going to start with the NDI space template. I'm going to run you through there. Where's that? Project space template. Chug, chug, chug. Wow, seriously, that is slow right now. What is going on? What is going on with this? There it goes. Okay, so we're on the main page. Okay, main page is reached by clicking the NDI project space template title. This works on any project space. Then you have your page to-dos and your project to-dos. So again, your page to-dos are on every single page. So every page we choose is going to have page to-dos at the top of it. Okay, and those page to-dos tell you how to customize this particular page. And then over on this side is the project to-dos. So every one of these page to-dos is listed here. Once all of your pages have been touched, all of these will begin to disappear. Okay, as you scroll down, once you've gotten these done, so that after completing all of these to-dos, delete this tip box. So once that box is deleted and the project to-dos list is deleted, this is where your project starts. Okay, so it's going to look like this. And you can see here's that, that picture macro with the @mention beside it, and then I just typed in some text for whatever this person's role is on the team. Or the space contents is a list of child pages. So if we look at the content, the actual editable content of this, the page to-dos and the project to-dos are both highlight macros. Okay, and it's called this particular one is called the tip macro. So there are several macros, and if you type highlight, you'll see them. And changing the macro to a different type is nothing more than choosing it, and boom, there it is. Now it's a warning macro. I won't save this, so I don't have to go back and edit it. Okay, so creating sections just gives you the ability to have this highlighted area. And then here is the children macro, which in this case shows the entire space, 3 descendants deep. If I make that a 1, you can preview and you'll see that it's much shorter. Make it a 4, much longer. Okay. So we've got it set defaulting to 3. There's different header styles that you can use. I don't usually bother with them. I leave it just the way it is. It's clean and consistent in the first style or the default style. So that's the one that we've always used. I just like how it's a lot tighter. And then you can sort by title or modified, creation date, reverse the sort order if you need to. Okay, so that's how easy it is to edit one of these pages. So let's go flip through here and look at a couple of different pages. Let's go to testing, my favorite. So release test cases. Okay, so this will be just a matter of creating children documents, and then they would show up here. Test regression documents, the same layout as this one. You do what it says here, and then you create your children documents, and they automatically show up. So this is a test case example. Okay, there's a sample test case. Now, creating a test case is very simple. We've got templates for all of these things. So when you click create, to create a new page, what you do is you go to the page you want to be the parent. Okay, so if I want it to show up on this page here, I want to add another one to this list. You just come to that page, choose create. You can choose NDI, DI, and here you can see all of our all the templates that we've created. You can create your own. You can use the blank ones. You don't have to use ours. Obviously, we recommend it so that they're all the same and so that we have this consistency. So in this case, we're going to create a new test case. So the NDI test case template. Create. It's going to take us to that page where we have the title of 2017-0202, right? Is that what today is? 203. We're going to call this another test case. Okay. Now all these gray elements are you one click edit. Okay. So the release name or number, whatever, that's going to be a user story link. That's going to be a link back to the page. So you can say, oops, we get rid of that. And then we say link, and you can go find a recently viewed, whatever the link is, and it throws it in there. Or you can link it yourself, flip over to another space, come back, put the link in yourself. If there's a related JIRA issue, QA lead tester is going to be at, oops, at David. Boom. Okay. And so one of the things about doing the at mentions for these is that that person is now going to be notified that his name has been tapped into this page. So anything else you need to add to this, you add it, you click save. Boom, it's added. It's automatically thrown into the section, and it is automatically added to the list. Now, I do mine by date. Under the regression test cases, you don't really need a separate number for every test case. You can use the date. You can use anything you want to. If you look at some of our projects, it's all just by title. So, for example, submission form regression test is a regression test case, a valid regression test case, and that can just be listed right under here. They don't have to be by any specific number. So now we're going to delete this page. All right. Under the communication section is where all the meetings are. If we go to the meeting notes section, and you'll see it's got a list of things to do for this particular page. And then one of the things that you can pay attention to is to create a meeting note. So creating a meeting note walks you through the wizard that shows you step by step about the meeting template. And of course, it automatically defaults to today's date. Because you're logged in, it gives you as part of the attendees. You can mention any further attendees, type in your agenda, and then any tasks go here. Now watch this. So remember what I said about all tasks roll up. So action items. David needs to check to see that this task is really there. And he has to do it by today. Okay, save that. And so there it is under meeting notes. So now if we come all the way to the top, that task should show up in this box. Now, I don't know wherever that page is where it should show up, or maybe at the end. But it would be up in here. So that's one of the beauties behind this tool here, or this macro here. 6. There's 8. So it should be right in there. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be further. There it is. Okay. Now, in the same token, if we go to my personal space, and we scroll down to my personal task list, which is a culmination of all task lists, it should be in here. Although I don't see it. Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't have that space. You have to tell it which spaces to include, and I think I have unincluded that one on purpose. Which makes sense. All right, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. Okay, Christian. You're welcome, Greg. All right, so let's see. What other elements do we have? We have the team calendar. which is punts back to a Google Calendar. So you go and create a Google Calendar for your project, and then you include it here, and it tells you exactly how to do that. At the moment, it is using the NDI team calendar, just so that you have, the days off and that kind of stuff. So all of that stuff can, this can be changed. To change it, you simply come into here, edit the macro, and then paste in the calendar ID from your Google Calendar. And that calendar, the Google Calendar, it's however the Google Calendar shows up. So you can include things like holidays, and all of that is in here. See if we can find a holiday in here. There's one right there. So all of that gets brought in automatically, which is kind of handy when you're building a team space. I left the switches available, so you can switch it to a month view and agenda view. Here's the other two calendars that you can include. And then if you want to print it, it prints it out as an agenda view. All right, so your appendix is really just whatever you need for your project. Our archives is the same way. The archives can be a couple of different things. It can be attachments pages, or anything like that. So one of the biggest components in the template space is the charter and documentation. And so this is where all of that goes. I don't think we've attached yet. Yeah, see, we don't have any attachments yet for that, although we're working on them to build examples or templates for each of these elements. And once we have those examples built, then I'll be able to better attach the example components. Another thing that we've done is we've dropped the corporate PMP as a space, okay? So the project management plan is now in the space template so that it's in your project documentation when you go into it. And it includes everything you need for your space. Obviously, you have to customize this page as required. You're going to change all the names. You're going to change all the elements. If you need to change all of them, I mean, some of these are just fine. So the QA management plan, that's one that I'm in all the time. And you can see every page has a page to-dos list, so that you know exactly what needs to be edited and how it should be edited. And we're still working on nailing a lot of this down. So we have some missing links. That's the red ones. We have some missing attachments. This is still a work in progress, and we have a long way to go. So just keep that in mind as you're rolling through these pages. If you see something like that, don't be terribly surprised. I do have a to-do list for this space that I'm knocking away as quickly as I can, but it's only one person and it takes a while. So that pretty much covers it for the space itself. All right, so for the NDI project space template, that pretty much covers the whole thing. Let me show you a little bit about some of the other cool things that we can do with Confluence. So I'm going to bring up, here's my personal space again. And then here is the brown bags and trainings space. If you ever had a question about what's coming up next, the list is right here. This is the live training schedule. And as you can see, this last one here is ready to come off. So we just click and say, remove that line. So I'll need to add some new ones. The next scheduled one is the Service Desk knowledge base. And if you come to training ideas, you'll see this is what we're looking at putting together for the next set of trainings. So each one of these is a training that we're hoping to be able to assemble. And if you have any ideas, please either comment in the comments below or send me an email, and we'll get them done as quickly as possible. So going back to the NDI space, right here you see this to-do list, or this to-do item for me to present this brown bag today. And so if we go to my personal to-do list, and we look at the due date, then present this brown bag is right here. Tells you what page it's on, so you know you can one click and it'll take you right back to that page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this off my to-do list, go back over here and look, and when we refresh this page, it's checked off. Had I checked it off here, it would be checked off over here on the next refresh. So very cool. It really is helpful when you have, you know, here's a meeting minutes from some project. Looks like, open it up and see which project that is. Oh, that page has been deleted. Wonder why. Oh, from the project space template. So I must have already finished that. Oh, that's the one that we just looked to see, needs to check to see if this task is really there. That's the one we created. So clearly it was there. I just didn't refresh the page properly. Okay, so I really love how this works. Now that those are checked off, if you refresh the page, they won't be there. So it's very helpful when people are having meetings and committing you to things, for them to create the tasks properly in the space when they're tracking their meeting minutes. And you'll get notified on your personal space. If you continue around the rest of my personal space, the About Me is right here, How to Contact Me is right here, and these are actually just my email. So when I have to change email addresses or whatever, I've got it all right here. These are links to the Jira Service Desk that I built that we work on every day. Here's what's on this page, and here's how to navigate this space. So I keep all kinds of stuff in here. Here's a personal list of to-dos, all of these to-dos on this page, which are for NDI, for Confluence, and I have one for Jira when I have Jira stuff that needs to be done. These to-dos all roll up onto this area here. So this is my main source of to-do list. I also keep track of all kinds of things. So QA checklist, you know, just and the NDI employee list that I use for those. Did you watch this on the brown bags? Here's a list of all my conference bridges. It's just junk that I need to have. Something simple like quarterly password change. Clearly, I need to change my password again. So every time I need to change it, I reset these back to unchecked. And then I go and do one at a time until they're all finished. Boom, and boom. Okay, and then I'll throw the date in over here. If you didn't see how the date goes in, you use / brings up the date picker. It automatically throws a date in for you. If you use @ it automatically brings up the name picker. So John Coffey, for example. Very handy tools. To create a checkbox, you just click this guy right here, and it creates or uncreates a checkbox. If you already created a checkbox, when you enter a new line, the checkboxes continue. It's like a radio button. Plus, what I really do like is you can actually have a radio list and then later go back and say, oh, shoot, you know what? This is something for someone that I need to by some date, and I'm going to make it a checkbox. So it just makes it a checkbox right out of the blue. Leaves it in the list as it was, but now it's a checkbox, so that you can actually turn that into a task for whomever. All right, so close that without saving because I don't remember what I did. So your personal space can be anything you want it to be. You know, these are all just pages that I've collected for whatever use. You know, how to log into the AWS information. Here's the Jira Confluence cleanup that I have to do regularly. So I just track it. Pretty much it. I think that's everything. So I'm going to give you this page again for a second. All right. And see if there's any more questions. Anybody? I heard my Hangouts buzz. So, not a question though. Anybody over here? All right. Well, with that, I am going to go ahead and shut down the lesson. If anybody has anything they need clarified, you know how to reach me. If you have any questions, go ahead and hit me up on Hangouts or email. You can also please review the content as it was provided on the training brown bags and training space. And like I said, if you have any questions about that, let me know. And by all means, if you have any extra training you want done, send that off. If I can't do it myself, I will find someone who can. We will hire somebody to come in and do it. It doesn't matter to me. We will get it done, because we want to make sure that we continue to do these around every 2 weeks is what we're shooting for. And we've been doing pretty good. We've got some 8 or 9 done, and we'll be able to keep going for another couple of months at least on the content that we have listed. So thank you very much, everybody, and have a great weekend. Also, this will be available in about 20 minutes for review, and you'll be able to watch it. It'll be published next week on the YouTube channel. So thanks again.